Ahoy everyone, it is Jeff, aka Godless Scummer. Welcome to this stream that I wasn't planning on today until I actually saw something, and I quickly, I read something earlier, and I just thought I've got to see if Jen's about today, because I think she might be she might be good for this actually. So I
now I've got to live up to these expectations.
I hope so, because you've got to be better. You've got to be better than me. But on the other hand, this is kind of some low-hanging fruit we're dealing with a little bit, I think. I came across something earlier today from everybody's favorite Christian apologist, SJ Thomason. And it is 10 reasons not to be an atheist. I got the link to and I use the term article loosely with this. And now, some of us, I think most of us are probably familiar with SJ. That Jen, you've actually, I don't know if I say have the honor, I'd say, but you've actually have spoken to her in real time, which I never have.
I've been on a couple of streams with her, and she's been on my channel. So
yeah. And this is the weird thing with her. This is just my opinion. It's like I've seen her on streams like with you and other people. It's like, and she can come off as like she sounds quite reasonable.
And she's nice to people on streams.
Yes.
Off stream, you get her behind a keyboard, and she's an absolute troll.
She absolutely is. And then she spouts some of the most unbelievable garbage you've ever seen. Now, I just want to say for streaming purposes today, I've got this new stout I'm trying out, Black Heart. It's something from Brewdog. It's only about 4%, so it's nothing particularly strong, but we're going to give this a try.
Jenny's... I'm Jenny. Granny is asking if SJ is going to convince us all to join a random religion. I thought about random, but Granny, we could try and convince you to join us. I'm sure you'd have a lot to say about this.
Yeah. Okay. Here's the thing. SJ's not even been very sure which her own denomination she wants to be in recently, because I believe her background is that she was brought up Roman Catholic, sort of became a Baptist for a while, recently went back to Catholicism again. So
why would you go back to Catholicism? I mean, why would you go to religion at all? But Catholicism,
because allegedly Francis is cleaning up the Catholic Church, and like, yeah, shit. I was like, yeah,
but how can you? Oh, he's cleaning it up. How can you forgive what that institution has done? Francis was part of that institution.
Yeah.
Yet you can't forgive it.
No.
There is no forgiving the Catholic Church. I'm sorry. It would take 500 years for that to get past what has happened in the last 100.
Can I just say, listen, I'm sorry if anyone listening here is Catholic. I'm not sorry you're offended. I'm just sorry you're Catholic. I'm just saying. But, should we bring this up then, Jen? Should we have a look through some of this?
Yeah, should we have a look?
And when I say article, let me share. Let's share this on screen, shall we?
Yeah.
Oh boy, this is so. 10 Reasons Not to Be an Atheist by ChristianApologist.com. This is SJ. And when I say this is brief, this literally, she's just writing a sentence and making an assertion in each one.
Yeah, everything is an assertion. Some of them are worse than others, though. There is no evidence for anything here. So, I mean, straight away, you can use Hitchens razor on this. Although I don't like the term Hitchens razor. I mean, if people assert things without evidence, you tell them that you give me evidence for it. And you look at the claim that they are trying to make, and if they don't provide evidence for it, you can dismiss it. Yes, but just saying I'm going to use Hitchens razor on you is just not the right way to have an argument.
I've got I think there's definitely times when you can apply Hitchens razor. I don't necessarily know that it's not a catch-all method.
It's definitely not a catch-all, and it makes people lazy. And they say, "Oh no, cite your sources, cite your sources, cite your." That particular claim, the claim itself might actually be enough of a source. for that claim, and in which case you have to refute the actual claim itself in the sense of what she's saying. In this case, all we've got is her one-liners, so refuting is going to be pretty simple, but some of them are outright assertions without any form of evidence in the middle. Some of them are just statements of faith, for goodness sake.
I'm just going to say a bit of a shout out, and I don't know if anyone else here in the chat has come from a Catholic background, but I am going to give a quick shout out to Dog, because I know Dog has come from that world and knows it all too well what the Catholic Church is like. So you probably tell us better than what we can tell you, to be honest. But okay, considering atheism, here are 10 reasons to reject such notions. And we got a countdown here, so we're going at number 10 all the way down to 1 here.
And at the end, lift off, and apparently you're a Christian.
So,
but which Christian?
So I'm assuming as she's done it this way, this is like that we're building up to number 1 is going to be the absolute clincher, right? Because these have got to be, Okay, but number 10, we're hardwired by God within our conscience to seek the truth, and atheists have fallen for a lie by the father of lies. Satan's best work is getting you to think he doesn't exist.
Yeah.
That's it.
I mean, a straight out assertion, but in any way, if we were hardwired by God with a conscience to seek the truth about God, there wouldn't be hundreds of different religions around the world worshipping different deities. The God of the Jews would have been the very first ever God that any human being ever brought up as having existed. And we know that's not the case. So, yeah, we're not hardwired to believe in God. There are places where people where people grow up not believing in gods.
And I'm just going to say,
there is no hardwired thing to search for it. So we are not hardwired.
Joe's answered it straight away that we're hardwired by evolution to assign agency as an evolutionary survival trait.
Exactly.
And see, the thing is, like, as well, this is the weird thing is SJ knows better. This is what bugs me about her. She knows better. So this
is going back to that thing that a lot of Christians think, that we're hardwired to know that there's a God. No, you're not. You are indoctrinated to believe there is a God. And I don't care the level of the indoctrination. Even just being a kid and going to church with your parents in Sunday school and not everything big on religion is enough to put an idea of a God in your head. And that's a form of indoctrination.
I've got a slight disagreement with you here, Jen, from Granny. Disagree with Jen here. If we're hardwired to seek God, would many, not necessarily find God? It's an interesting question.
Well, maybe.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It depends how good at God is at hide and seek. I mean, for evidence would suggest that God does exist, God is bloody good at hide and seek.
I'm going to say he's fucking been the world champion for the last few thousand years, hasn't he? It might, but Joe's like I said, I wouldn't necessarily say indoctrinated, but I mean, obviously, it
was an example, Joe. It was the idea of having a God is implanted in your head, is what I'm saying. In that sense, it's I mean, we can make kids believe in Santa Claus, and we all know Santa Claus isn't real. So,
way to burst everyone's bubble there, Jen.
Sorry, I should have said.
Yeah,
I should have put a warning in front of that. I apologize to anyone in the chat who believes in Santa.
Yeah. Well, I've seen Santa at the shopping centres, you see, so I mean, I don't, to be honest, right, I don't always like going using the Santa example. Again, it's one of those things. I only don't like it because I know sometimes it's like a bad atheist trope to go to, but it's probably there probably are occasions when it's valid.
But there are lots of things like it. I mean, if you come from a country that isn't Christian, you will, and it's religious, you will learn about a different God, and that God will be what you think of as a deity, because you are trained to think that.
Mm.
Well, not exactly indoctrination. It's not a big step from that to being indoctrinated.
Well, it's a. I mean, look, if it's I suppose if you do grow up in somewhere that is culturally Christian or so on,
Okay, I will agree with Joe on we are prone to assign agency. For example, a lot of people want to think that something had to have caused the universe. It is hard to get away from that thing because we are used to cause and effect. And that's not necessarily the case. It appears to be the case in almost everything we see in nature. However, that doesn't mean it has to be the case. You only need one exception to that. And at the moment, the apparent exception to that is the universe itself.
Mm. Yeah. So, do you ever look at number 9? Unless there's anything else you can say on this.
No, I'm good.
We're hardwired to seek purpose and meaning, and atheism has no purpose, meaning, or explanation of our existence other than lucky cosmic accidents. Okay.
Misunderstanding. Well, it's a complete misunderstanding of how the universe comes about. That lucky cosmic accident is not an accurate way to look at the birth of the universe. However, that bit aside, the rest of that, purpose and meaning, there's way more purpose and meaning to living if you don't think that at the end of this you're going to go to a better place just by believing in the son of some weird god you've got.
Yeah.
That there's more thing to lead a good life and be a good person in this world without a god.
Yeah, I mean, even if you look at like the Wikipedia page on the meaning of life, it quotes purpose and meaning of life by saying that the question, what is the meaning of life, pertains to, and I'm just going to say this, Joe, I am plagiarizing directly from Answers and Reasons website now, what I'm reading out, just so if I'm going to plagiarize someone, I'm at least going to give them a credit. Okay, so I don't know whether this was Joe or Dave or one of the other contributors who wrote this. But so what is the meaning of life pertains to the significance of life or existence in general, in brackets, this is the Wikipedia page, and mostly worthwhile effort to look into the question. It should be clear that to have a meaning or a purpose to life, a significance to life, the ideal starting point for our journey towards the life worth living. And yes, it's whoever writes this article says, yes, it is. This is a common atheist trope as well, that there is no objective meaning or purpose to life, so we should just make the best of it. But it's not necessarily what objectivity, what it really means. And I think, I'll go on a bit in this for a minute. Do you got anything you want to say on that, Jen? But
we can cover the cosmic accident later because she tries to pull science out of her butt later on as well. So, but she doesn't understand. And that's fair enough. Most people don't understand modern cosmology, and there's a good reason for that. It's bloody hard to understand. So I will give her a free pass on not understanding, but you shouldn't assert a reason based on your lack of understanding.
I mean, to be fair, that she hasn't as of yet used the word objectivity or anything.
No, she hasn't
in her argument. So, but it's like but. Yeah, I don't. I don't think atheism in itself is a question on the explanation of our existence. It is that question on the
it never
thing.
is.
It never. Now, again, I'm not going to get back into this.
And I don't think we need to seek an expert.
Yeah.
I mean, we like to look for answers in the universe, but I don't know that we don't need a spiritual answer to our existence. I'm very happy just with the answers given us in evolution and cosmology and stuff like that, and seeking the answers that we don't have in that. But that's a evolved property of our brains. It's not because we are hardwired by a god. It's an evolved property. You could call it hardwiring, as Jim has, but evolved properties. We evolved a curious mind because curious minds were good at fucking surviving. Sorry, Jeff, I shouldn't swear about it. But...
Oh yeah, please, yeah, don't. Yeah, Jen, you know the rules about language on.
Yeah, I do.
It's if you don't say fuck at least once every 5 minutes, there's something wrong.
Yeah. Hey Claire.
But
hey Andrew.
Again, it's, and this is what I mean. It's like what it's trying to assign a lot of other stuff to atheism. I think when you start adding these things on, that it's got to be some.
This comes back to their thing of they have to look at it, try to make atheism out to be a religion.
It kind of is going. It's kind of going that way. I mean, I suppose.
I think there are atheists who look for deeper meaning, who become kind of religious in their atheism. But being an atheist itself is not a religion.
I'd like to be charitable to her and say that's not where she's going. But given some of her past arguments, it is pretty difficult for me to show her any degree of charity because I'll be straight up with it. I think she's dishonest. I've thought that about SJ for a long time.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
shall we go with number 8?
Oh, number 8. This one's a doozy. This one's a doomy.
I don't think I need it. I mean, I know you got me on here for my science stuff, but I don't even think I need to say anything.
I don't think I need. Yeah, I don't think I need you on this.
You don't. I don't think you need me.
Humans are exceptional, but many atheists think we're no better than apes. Let me just full screen myself a moment, SJ. SJ, we are apes. There. Okay.
And
now I've got that out
that's a complete misunderstanding of evolution in the first place. I mean, there is no better than or worse than. That things take survival traits and they use them to fill out niches. Our niche is a thinking bipedal creature that can create lots of tools. That's who we evolved to be. Yeah. And as such, in those aspects, we are the top of the tree at the moment on the earth. But in other traits, we suck. You go into an area with lots of radiation and we're dead. Tardigrades aren't.
Yeah.
So what's better? Which survival trait is better? That's the thing. It's not about is one thing better than the other. In the aspects that SJ thinks in the aspects that SJ applies heavier weights for, which is about intelligence and thinking, and which things that SJ struggles with sometimes, we are better at those things than other life. Well, we think we're better than other life forms on this planet. We can't talk to some of them, and some of them are actually quite intelligent. So who knows?
Yeah, well, we've seen. Well, this is the thing. Like I mean, to say no better than apes as well. I mean, we've seen within apes, haven't we? I mean, anyone who's gone seen that guy's at Franz de Waal's TED talk. The experiments they did with apes and monkeys, because newsflash, phylogenetically, we're still monkeys as well.
Yeah.
That's a newsflash for people, but
hey, we're still eukaryotes. So.
And I was going to say I have my disagreements with him at times, but thanks to Aaron Ra for kind of educating me on a lot of this stuff, and I still don't know that much, but he's kind of blew my mind when I first came across him and he was explaining this stuff. But here's the thing: we've seen those, we've seen those things where within like other primates and so on, and other animals where they display behaviors which we could see as a kind of morality. Now, we saw the one, didn't we? There's the famous clip, isn't there, with the 2 capuchin monkeys in the cage, when essentially they gave them the same task to do for the same rewards, and then they altered the task, didn't they, with Like, because the monkeys, they were given, there's cucumber and grapes. Now they'll eat cucumber, they love a grape, but they love a grape. So when one monkey started seeing the other one was getting a grape whilst he was getting a cucumber for performing the same task, he starts refusing to do the task. It's like, hey, what, you know? So there's like, hey, this is unfair. This is like, this is a pay discrepancy going on here.
Yeah.
Now, apparently they did the very same experiment with chimpanzees, and the other chimp, the one who was getting the better reward, actually effectively went on strike, essentially, in the same thing, as to say, I'm not performing this task until you give the other the same reward.
Yeah, the altruism within other animals is obvious with some of the higher primates, elephants. It's hard to tell with dolphins because not only do we have a language barrier, we have a medium barrier because swimming instead. But it's like dolphins appear to have altruistic behaviors in the wild, and so
that's correct.
We're not a lot better, but in some aspects we are better. In some aspects we're worse, and that's how evolution works.
Yeah, that's correct, Granny. It actually threw the cucumber back at the
researcher
doing the test. Yeah. I mean, there's debates on like some of like Frans de Waal's work, but I did find that book, the Bonobo and the Atheist, quite an interesting read. I know it's got its critics, but it's a bit long to get into now, but it's an interesting read. Okay, this is the sort of area where I think I might need some of your your help.
But you better bring it back up again, Jeff, because no one can see.
Okay, number 7.
You better bring it up again, Jeff.
Oh, is it gone? Oh, of course. Hold on.
Because you made yourself big.
What's going on here? Where's the? I hate StreamYards. It just seems to have like changed stuff recently. Damn it. I can't find it. What's going on here?
Give me a second.
StreamYards. This is the thing. StreamYards. I'm going to reshare it. The stream again. The thing again here, because it seems like StreamYards at the moment. For some reason, it's changed its layout, and it's being a bit of a nuisance. I haven't quite got the hang of it yet. Okay. So, is that back up?
Yep, we got it.
Okay. Yeah, I've got like a 2-inch screen. I can see everything in at the moment, Jen. So that's how bad this is. I cannot. Oh, damn it! Yeah, I can't. I just cannot even see what's on my screen at the moment.
Oh wow! Now you're back on the screen, and that's gone small. Weird.
Oh, for goodness' sake! Okay, let's try this again. Let's try this again. I see now. I can see. Yeah, StreamYards is being really silly at the moment. It's being really silly. It's changed. It keeps. Okay, I think. Okay, now I think we're getting somewhere.
Technical difficulties.
I'm going to say I'm probably not much better at a chimp at running a stream. Okay, so.
All right, we'll try this again.
And I'm back to having a 2-inch screen, so I cannot even see what's in front of me when it comes to my StreamYards layout. But number 7. Our DNA is a sequence of around 3 billion A, C, G, and T nucleotide pairs, which is a blueprint for our development from a single cell. If you saw a sequence of words in a book or written in the sand at the beach, surely you'd acknowledge that a mind originated these works. So we're going for complexity arguments, are we?
Which is just ridiculous. We're talking about different combinations of amino acids here that form the nucleotide pairs, and those amino acids actually will form in clouds of gas in space. That's how common they are to form, and we can create them in the lab and everything. We can actually create artificial DNA, which is kind of cool now. But the thing here is with DNA is it's not a book. It's not a guide that somebody sat down and wrote. It's something that has evolved over billions of years. Billions and billions of years. And that's the thing with it. It's not something that just suddenly started, oh, here's how all the animals are. No, that isn't. The geological record shows us when different animals were on the earth, and we've got DNA evidence going back several thousand years that shows how DNA has changed. We've got the morphing structures of the different bodies to know how evolution has worked over that time frame. The fact of the matter is evolution had time, and things that worked were kept, and things that didn't work didn't get passed on as genes. So it's just it's just incredulous. She's being completely incredulous here.
I can't understand what she's trying to actually now.
No, she's trying to say that.
Is she trying to argue for like a form of creationism or theistic evolution here? I mean, technically, she's a Roman Catholic. She should be on board with like a form.
No, she's not arguing either. She's trying to say that DNA is so complicated that it's like a program. It's the same argument that people make when it's that DNA is like a program code. No, it's not. There is nothing obvious in the code. See, the fact that it took us so long to decode what various nucleotide pairs do within DNA, and they're different for different animals, means it shows that it's not something that's pre-written. It's something that has evolved over time.
So Jura says, does she think?
Yeah, I don't know what she thinks. This is a problem when we name something in science. People's like SJ seem to think that that's a be-all and end-all rule of the universe. The laws, the rules that we make up in science are descriptive, not prescriptive. They are the rules and laws that we made up to make sense of the universe we live in. Now, just because our math and everything fits in with our universe makes sense because we live in our universe.
Yeah, I think I find this quite weird. It doesn't seem to matter what side argument I'm having. The thing between descriptive and prescriptive comes up so fucking much.
Well, because for her way of thinking, it all has to be prescriptive. It's prescriptive from God.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's all descriptive. We described DNA. We describe the nucleotide pairs. We describe when we tear apart DNA and we figure out what different nucleotide pairs do. We are describing that. Those pairs did not have a preset rules of what they were going to do. In fact, over evolution's time, certain pairs do different things in different evolved creatures because the pairs changed function. So you cannot always just grab a nucleotide pair out of one species and shove it in another without being really careful about where you put it, because they can have different functions in different locations. And yeah, it's not simple, and it's not simple because it evolved over time, and it didn't do it in any sort of way that an engineer would do if an engineer sat down and designed a human. Humans are so badly designed. All life is badly designed. If you are marking this person off if you are marking a being off for creating life on Earth, if there was a creator, they would have got a D. They did such a bad job.
I get it. Yeah, I get it. I'm gonna say there's no fucking way that and listen, what the hell does that say about God if we're created in His own image?
To be fair, if the Mormons were right and there's a God for each planet, the God who was given our planet was crap.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, it doesn't really look good for him in this, honestly.
It doesn't. Yeah. All right, so we're done with that one. I don't want to do that one anymore.
SJ, she's a Christian apologist.
Yeah, she's got a lot to apologize for, to be honest.
And evidently not a very good one.
Yeah.
Now number 6, this one, okay. Your time here very much matters to your salvation. That's it.
Honestly,
that's all she's written.
How does that have any form of persuasion for an atheist? It's not even an argument. The only person that convinces is somebody who's already a Christian.
My rebuttal to that, and so fucking what?
Yeah.
Honestly, with that, I'd say my time here matters to my situation, not my salvation. It would be better, you know. You can't even. I mean, there's just nothing to say to it, really, is it? It's you know. But this is what I get. This is definitely though what I think she's. This is stuff I feel like it's aimed. I don't think she's really aiming this at atheists. I feel like this. It's like I feel this is aimed at people who are still very much in the faith to try and dissuade.
It is. Well, most apologetics is aimed at people who are already faithful. So,
I mean, look, I wouldn't put SJ in like the absolute bottom tier of apologists. You know,
she's not a Kent Hovind.
She's not in a Kent Hovind sort of class, but she is. She
has her moments though.
But she's not up in a sort of like, you know, like a high end like William Lane Craig kind of territory. Who's the higher end, you know? And there's people who are much better than Craig as well. You know, that actually do make some arguments that I wouldn't necessarily say are good, but at least are like, okay, I need to think about that before I, you know, come back on it.
I should have brought a pillow for the next one, Jeff.
Okay.
or oven mitt.
Okay. Number 5. The universe is mathematically structured as evidenced by its constants and the repetition of the Fibonacci sequence. God's fingerprint is in our fingerprint. Sunflowers, seashells, and galaxies. So there's a weird way of saying look at the trees.
Yeah, well, this is fine-tuning argument as well.
Yeah.
So now, again, going back to what we were saying before, we assign these constants. We look at the universe, we go and see what it is, and we go, oh yeah, the light travels at this speed. It obviously always travels at this speed. Therefore, it's a constant. Okay. Well, we've assigned that value to it. We assign the units that make that up. It's all part of our mathematics, our doing things. Yes, it's a constant within our universe. Now, the fine-tuning argument is just ridiculous on the face of it. The fact that a universe can exist is evidenced by the fact that it does exist. Our universe exists, therefore, it is very possible for a universe to exist where the constants of the universe are within a range that it works. And you could only be an observer of that universe if you lived in a universe that fitted a set of constants that could exist. So there's nothing special about us in that sense. We can the intelligent species can only exist in a universe that fits within those certain parameters that are required of the universal constants for a universe to exist. However many times a universe has tried to be birthed, we don't know. Are there multiple universes? Do we live in a multiverse and we just happen to be one of the very few ones that could support life or continue to exist? We don't know. Does the universe constantly rebirth and the constants change? We don't know. Is it impossible for the constants to be any different because the act of the universe actually coming into existence, which I mean, in all honesty, the universe really didn't come into existence. You can both have a universe that has a finite beginning but is also existed forever. Which is complicated to think about, but yeah, that's possible.
I'll just say, I'll just say on multiverse theory that I'm looking forward to the big cunt of the year multiverse crossover event when we get our parallel selves or whatever.
Parallel selves, yeah.
What
about the Christian versions of us, Jeff?
Well, I don't know. This is the weird thing. See, we could be like the religious assholes in the multiverse, and like Matt Powell could be one of the good guys. You know, who just actually, I don't know. I don't know if there's a possible. Yeah. There is impossible world theory where there's.
I don't even think it. I don't. I know people love the idea of we're in a multiverse and it solves so many issues. I don't actually think we need to have a multiverse to solve any of the issues of our universe existing as it is and the constant fundamental constants being what they are. I don't think that's a requirement. I think the nature of the universe is the universe would not have started had those things not been right in the beginning. I think the actual act of the beginning of the universe actually presets how everything's going to be anyway. And given that you can have a finite beginning to a universe that is actually technically eternal, I mean, our little bit of the universe since the Big Bang expansion goes is 13.8 billion years old. But what was there before could have been there forever. So the energy constant of the universe was always there. And effectively, the effective energy level of the universe is actually zero, which is really hard to think about.
What Joe said, where he says he's somewhat lenient to design arguments in the sense that he's in awe of how the universe works and blows my mind. I can understand why that feels to some that a creator is needed. I get it. I get that as well.
I think it's one of their more compelling arguments, the fine-tuning, but it's still rubbish. And that's the problem. But if you don't understand the physics and the cosmology underneath it, it is really hard to get to grips with this concept that you can have a universe that's both finite and eternal and will always have had those constants without there needing to be a creator. It is all possible. But the real reality of it is, past those first, if you want to go back past about the first 100 milliseconds from the start of the universe as we know it, you cannot. Our physics breaks down at the point where the universe is that dense. It's like our physics breaks down at the borderline of a black hole. Our physics doesn't do the job, and we don't know. And that's the honest to goodness answer of that. But and the Fibonacci sequence thing is just drivel. We defined mass based on the things we saw in nature. We defined mass to count and things like that. The fact that seashells and fingerprints and sunflowers grow the way they do is because that progression works well for growing things. It's not that it's a fingerprint of God or anything. It's just that it works out well and the mass matches. And it doesn't match perfectly either. The Fibonacci sequences you see in nature are never, ever perfect.
I was just going to say, Gary, it's just, I'm planning on making a sacrifice of chocolate and wine to my God soon, which to me, that's a waste of chocolate and wine. But I can say that because I used to do that. I used to do that when I was in like Norse polytheism. You put out. I used to put out offerings to like Odin or Thor or Frey or who I used to do that. So I got but.
And
right, reason number 4. Sorry.
Before you do that, one more thing about reason 5, the fine constants and everything. We don't actually have the best set of fine constants that you could have for a universe. We're pretty close, but we don't have the best set, which is why 99.999% of our universe is hostile to life.
Yeah. Okay. Number 4. Look at the trees. Actually, that's not what it says, but this is what it actually says. Nature and the cosmos point to a significant beauty in our creator. In other words, look at the trees.
Pretty much. I think everyone in the chat knows why this one's just,
Yeah. I don't know that we need to go into any detail.
I don't think we need to at all. It's like, if your argument is look at the trees, then I'd rather pray to the Lorax at that point.
Okay. Number 3. Numerous miracles by the saints as evidence that Lourdes, Fatima, and many other places such as Padre Pio, these point to the supernatural. No,
Nope.
they fucking don't.
Confirmation bias.
The
The church is looking for miracles. The church finds miracles. These are not miracles.
And
a million to one chances happen a million to one, one in a million times. That's the whole thing. You know, it's
SJ. Can I just say this? If you watch this, seriously, Otangelo's shrouded Turin arguments are better than that, and his arguments are shit. Are better than what you're claiming for there. I mean, look, at least there's a physical artifact there to examine. I mean, we know it. We know that the claims of it being miraculous are completely wrong, but yeah, I have a weird thing. I especially do have a weird thing on like especially miraculous healing things. I do tend to treat a lot of those stories with skepticism. Because a lot of the time I hear these stories and then I can't actually find a source, even in like modern times, where someone miraculously recovered from cancer and there's a claim there, and when I start trying to look into the case, I can't find any reference to it anywhere whatsoever. So I've always had a bit of an issue.
Or it's one of those cases of spontaneous remission, or it's one of those cases of misdiagnosis, because these things happen all the time.
Yeah. And this is well, actually, you said converted, more like reverted to Catholicism, Granny, because I think she came from this. But you can tell, can't you? Now you can tell she's back in like the Catholic Church with this, like saints, Lourdes, Fatima. She wouldn't have been making these arguments 2 years ago.
No,
actually. But what's it Joe said? Yeah, except none of them have been shown to be genuine miracles. Unlikely events, maybe, yeah, but not miracles.
Exactly.
You know, that's the thing. I mean, to be honest, here she's not even. To be honest, now it's not even like she's trying to make any intellectual kind of arguments for this. Now it's just pure out fucking preaching now.
Well, 2 and 1 are basically not even preaching; they're statements of faith.
Yeah. Should we just let's go for number 2 then?
Yeah.
Our Father created us and loves us. We were made as man and woman in the image of God. We are His image bearers. I think we've already touched on this, haven't we? A little bit.
Yeah. It's just down to statements of faith.
Yeah.
She's just now she's got dropped all pretense of actual argument and is just making statements of faith.
Yeah, it is. Like I said, we went through this earlier. Look, to quote George Carlin, if this is the best God can do, I'm not impressed. You know.
Yeah.
This, like this is not the work of a supreme being. This is the sort of work for an office temp with a bad attitude.
I've got to say something here, though. If we're made as man and woman in God's image, then God was definitely intersexed.
Yeah. Okay. Well, here's the big question, though. Did God drink Bud Light? If God, well, no, God. There's no supreme being in the world that could have created Bud Light. So, like I said, I'm going to quote actually something Aaron Ra said the other day. Now, I did my stream the other day about why I'm an ally and why I try to be an ally, but I do draw a hard line at drinking Bud Light. Okay, so anyway.
Yeah, and I agree with Joe here that the concept of love, God's love, is pretty sick and twisted.
It's kind of, to me,
I don't want you in my sight, so I'm going to commit genocide.
I'm not being funny. hypothetically say that it's all true. The old, all the stuff God does. Jesus Christ, it's a fucking abusive relationship. If that's love.
If I'm going to be honest, if you read honestly into the Bible, the devil's the good guy and God's the bad guy.
Yeah,
in every aspect of it. The devil is trying
the devil's a critical thinker, and that's
the devil's a critical thinker. The devil tries to offer good things for people, like better capabilities of thinking for yourself. The devil's not the one who did all those horrible things to Job.
No, for a fucking bet.
For a fucking bet, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like The devil is the son who's disenfranchised with his father, and his father's trying to talk smack about him through his book. And the devil's trying to say to everybody, my dad's not that great. He's a bit of an ass.
But this is kind of the thing to me. I mean, to be fair to her, I try and be fair to SJ. I don't know that she's an absolute biblical literalist or not. Look, she actually believes in all these stories, and I don't know. I don't. Yeah. I've never quite got that.
She's not a young earther.
Like I said, I've never quite got the. She's like I said, she's not. She's never quite struck me as someone who's sort of said that every one of these claims is literal history. So. Yeah. And like I said, I think that she accepts some form of theistic evolution. I'm not entirely sure how she, although it feels like she's going back and forth a bit on it to me.
Yeah, I don't think she has all her ideas. Yeah, she certainly doesn't have all her ducks in a row.
Well, I've never talked to her, but she would hate me if just from my book collection up there of all these books by like Marx and stuff. So she'd fucking hate me.
Yeah, she doesn't get evolution. She doesn't understand evolution. She doesn't necessarily argue against it. She just doesn't understand it.
She argued. This is going to be a little slight deviation. Okay, SJ makes a lot of arguments against like she kind of did the thing that Diesel did with Chris about sort of like equating atheism to things like communism or fascist states and stuff.
Yeah.
SJ rails against Marxism a lot. She doesn't know shit about it. I guarantee you that.
She doesn't know anything about capitalism either.
Well, she's supposed to have a degree in like business studies or something.
I don't know. She's dreadful.
Someone check me up on that. I don't think she knows a lot about economics, but I don't know. But she does. I thought she actually had like some sort of like degree in business studies or something, but I don't know that. Just someone let me know if that's true or not. What?
Yeah. All right. Should we do the last one?
Okay, this is the clincher. This is the one that's going to convert us, Jen.
Yep.
Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. He suffered and was crucified, and was buried as a sacrifice for our sins and our salvation. He is risen. His resurrection is tested, multiplied from the ancients who had no reason to craft lies. Many were martyred in gruesome ways, but their testimonies remain. May God bless you and keep you in his hands, put you in his hands, and watch it flourish. I'm convinced. I'm convinced now.
Yep.
That's just pure preachy now.
It is.
Pure preaching now.
I mean, for start, I mean, I'm not a mythicist. I think there's possibly some historical figure that some of the ideas of Jesus were based off of. However, having said that, you would have to prove that there was a Jesus as depicted in the Bible who was suffered and crucified, and you cannot prove that. The only evidence for that is the Bible. That is it.
And I'll say that, I'm not a mythicist earlier. Now, I have read like Carrier's book, and I find it like quite interesting, but I tend to go
stand Carrier himself. He's
well, yeah, but I've said this before when I did my thing about Price, that the guy might be an asshole, but but that isn't the measure you justify you grade his scholarship on. That being said, I still think mythicism is wrong. I do think
I will put it this way: there may have been a historical figure or a group of historical figures who some of the stories were based on, but the Jesus as depicted in the Bible is a myth.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. In that respect, yes. The actual, but I tend to go with the overwhelming majority of historians on this one, and a lot of the and I've seen a lot of the arguments I've seen for mythicism are bad. And to be fair, even Carrier will admit a lot of them are bad. So, in fairness to him.
So, I mean, the attest to of this multiply from the ancients who had no reason to craft lies. The people who wrote the Bible had plenty of reasons to craft lies, or not so much lies. It's just that the Bible the New Testament was written so long after the events of what happened. It was, it's Chinese whispers at that point.
Yeah, I mean, look, I wouldn't. I wouldn't necessarily. I would never like dismiss. I've got to be careful. Never totally dismiss like oral histories that later get written down as not having any grain of truth in them. But you've got to obviously do have to remember, obviously, especially when the claim, and it's the claims coming now. It's especially when you're in a period like ancient Rome, who did keep record. Romans very good record keepers and so on.
Yeah.
And like, for example, this whole thing of like the dead rising at Easter or whatever, and not one person in fucking in Roman historian bothered to fucking document that shit. Come on,
the Jews didn't document the curtain tearing.
Yeah,
or all the other things that happened. It's like,
and as I said, I don't dismiss like oral historical traditions entirely, and I think because there's been a lot of sometimes they can be.
These are not testimonies that would stand up to a court of law. Is the point.
And I mean,
the closest thing to a good testimony you have is anything said by Paul, and Paul never met Jesus.
Yeah,
he had a vision, but there's plenty of people locked up in psych wards who have visions. Paul had a vision. Paul never met Jesus.
I'll say this on the stream I was on with Noodle and Ring the other day. We had a good little conversation. Noodle, I think, got into quite a long point about this, but it's well worth listening to about what they call historical empiricism and why that isn't the way to do history.
Yeah.
Which on the surface, because we know empiricism is kind of like a lot of a basis of the scientific method and so on, ain't really the way to do history.
No.
So and that's that. I'd say if you watch nothing else, if you watch no further part of that stream, watch the bit where Noodle where they talk about that, because that is really worth listening to.
Yeah.
So
we got through it, Jeff.
We got through it
in only an hour. Amazing.
Has SJ convinced you at all? I don't think she's convinced. She's not quite. Do you know what I was going to do? I'm going to show this up to the camera. Okay, I was handed this by a street preacher. It's this thing called "Is It Wise to Be an Atheist?" And I was going to go into this at one point, but it's provided, at least getting a photograph of it provided me with a decent thumbnail for this. But this is even more preachy. Things like, things like trying to argue why can't I see God, and then it just gives me load of Bible verses to refer to, and I actually had to sort of say to the street preacher, I said, "Look, all due respect, mate. Okay, the worst thing if you are actually trying to engage and convince an atheist, probably one of the worst things you can actually do is try and appeal to the Bible when you're having that conversation." I'm saying this as an atheist. I shouldn't really be doing their job for them, honestly, but I really shouldn't be doing their job for them. But if you're going, I think if you're going to try and convince an atheist to come to, to your way of thinking, you've probably got to have a very good logical kind of way of coming at this.
Especially when most atheists know the Bible better than a lot of those street preachers.
Yeah. Oh, crikey. Yeah.
What was the main thing that convinced you not to be a Christian anymore? Reading the Bible.
Yeah.
The fastest way not to be a Christian is to read your Bible.
Yeah, exactly. Gary, crappy apologetics make me more comfortable with atheism. Right, I'm going to get rid of the thing off the screen.
Yeah.
Stop screen. And I can actually see us on the screen, on my StreamYards thing again.
On your little screen.
On my tiny screen, it's like that big. It's like...
That's why I've got a 32-inch monitor.
Yeah. It's called Andrew Tate dick size. Oh,
no, that's bigger than Andrew Tate.
No, it's all right. I've managed to full screen myself now, so I can actually see what the fuck I'm doing. StreamYards, I really hate you for messing with this stuff, honestly. But no, this was fun to go through for an hour or so, wasn't it? I suppose
it was a little bit of fun, Jeff.
Yeah, a little bit of fun, and
it's not good apologetics. It's bad apologetics.
It is. It's SJ. You got to stop making it so bloody easy for us. Really.
Yeah.
I mean, that was bad. That was just bad.
Very.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hope everybody's still got brain cells left after that.
Yeah, and Kitty, that's kind of why I made the joke about like the size of what I can see on the screen is Andrew Tate micro PP size.
Yeah, well, I mean, when he brags about all his cars.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah. I think my favorite. I think my favorite meme was that I saw going round about that. It was a picture of the Green Goblin, Voldemort. Who else was it? It was someone else, and Andrew Tate. But the whole thing was like people who recently got destroyed by their teenage nemesis.
It's a good one.
Oh, Aunt Jera says, I think this proves SJ is on our side. She's not on our side.
No.
No,
she's not exactly sure whose side she's on, but
she is not an undercover atheist, I can assure you of that. Like she's not an undercover atheist trying to make good Christians look bad. No. Which I mean, look, Jen and I have been called undercover Christians before for happening to disagree with someone because they don't like us using the word belief when it's like don't treat the word belief as a bad word. I mean, knowledge is a subset of belief, it's but I can definitely understand though where a lot of people who may have come from backgrounds of like faith or whatever have a bit of an aversion to that word belief, and I can totally understand it, but it also gets a little bit irritating when I just know that they're parroting just blatantly parroting stuff they've heard on the atheist experience and are not really thinking for themselves.
If you don't understand the arguments, don't make them.
Yeah.
Because that's the easiest way to get caught out. If you're arguing with somebody and you don't understand the argument that you've just put forward, you are going to lose. Even if you're right, you're going to lose.
Yeah. Which tends to be why I tend to not engage in certain topics, because I know that I would be out of my depth. I won't go into what it was, but Jen and I talked about something before we went on air. And I know it's a bit of a talking point all over social media, but I know that I'm woefully ill-equipped to have that conversation really with anyone. So I stay the fuck out of it. So Oh,
yeah.
so, Jen, you got anything coming up that you want to plug, or you just?
I'm actually home this week, but I've got a whole heap of stuff I have to do around the house. But I am hoping that I will get a stream out. Probably on the weekend at some point. So, yeah.
Can hope.
I can hope. I can hope.
This is the thing. This is the thing with all of us. We all got lives outside of here. Real life gets.
And I'm pretty busy at the moment with all the health stuff I have to do. So it's like, yeah. And now I've discovered that my daughter left a plate of food in the room that has had the door shut since I went into hospital, and mice enjoyed it. So I have to go through her room and throw out everything the mice have been in.
Yeah.
So and that's not something I really feel like doing. So it's one of the things I have to do this week.
Okay, I'm not plugging anything for my own, but I'm probably going to be on obviously One Ring's Media Musings stream the next couple of weeks, because Ring has decided to honor the traditions of the good old South and celebrate Confederate History Month. Okay, now, just to be clear, we're not really celebrating Confederate History Month. We are addressing some of it, and if there's a personal, now I'm British, I'm not American, but one of my favorite hobbies is whipping into Confederate lost cause myths and the people who propagate them, and so I think we're going to have some fun with that.
Yeah.
So watch out for that on Ring's channel. Okie doke. So thanks to everyone for popping along, and if you got any brain cells left after listening to like SJ's preaching for the past hour and us going through it, hey, more fool you for sitting through the entire stream. Honestly, but no, thanks everyone for coming along. Everyone in the chat. Kitty, Gary, Granny, Joe. I see Robert X has been there. Claire has been there.
Yep.
Gary, Aunt Jo has been there. Leanne. Anyone I've missed, and anyone else, if I've missed you, apologise. Oh, Dog, by the way. Dog, Sandy. Yeah, thanks all of you for coming along, and
we have fun.
Yeah. Well, Kitty, if you watch Media Musings on Ring's channel, we'll be addressing rubbish like that. So yeah, why that people want to root for the people who lost the war. Yeah. Okie doke. See you all later, guys. Salute.
Bye.